Hello kids, welcome to today's class. In this class, let us begin with another chapter, chapter 7, Arrays. Introduction. An array is defined as a set of homogeneous data elements with similar name and similar data type stored in a contiguous memory location. So array is a set of homogeneous data elements, means similar kind of data elements. For example, if it is of integer data type, then we can have an array of only integer array. That means only integer elements can be used as an array. And if it is a float array, then only float elements can be, the decimal elements can be entered into that array. If it is string array, and you can have similar words in that array. So it will not be a combination of integer, float, string like that. It will be a homogeneous set of data elements. We define integer variable a is equal to 5. So that means a variable is called as a and it has a value 5. So actually what is happening is we have a memory defined as a where 5 is stored, isn't it? Same way, when you are defining an array, then like if this is an a array of length 10 with the same name, there will be 10 spaces created inside the memory and it will be contiguous. It is not scattered in the different places. It is continuously arranged and it will be named with 0, 1, 2. These are called as index. So always arrays index will start with 0. So whenever there are 10 elements in an array, the first element's index will be always 0 and the last element's index will be 9. So that is, first element will be 0 and the last element's index will be n minus 1, where n is the length of an array. So if the length of an array is 10, then n minus 1, the last index will be 9. If it is 20, then n minus 1, last index will be 19. So when counting from 0 to 9, we have 10 elements. Okay. And the data values can be entered inside these memory location. And here the element at index 8. So if there is any element here, then that element's index value will be 8. But actually it is in the ninth position. Let us now see what are the types of arrays. Basically, there are two types of arrays and they are one-dimensional array and two-dimensional array. And a one-dimensional array example is what you saw just before. That is, a single row will be there and you have elements, that is contiguous memory will be there and you will be having elements in that. And a two-dimensional array means it will be like a table which will have rows and columns. Now we will see how to create a single dimensional array. Syntax is data type, variable name, square bracket open close is equal to new data type and number of values to be stored. So when we are defining a variable with a square bracket, it indicates that this variable is an array variable. And here after new values given with the data type, we will mention the size of an array. So let us see the example. Int n array is equal to new int of 10. That means n is an array variable since it is indicated with square brackets is equal to new int of 10. So this n array can store maximum 10 elements into that array. Or you can even define int array with the data type. You can mention that it is an array and space n is equal to new int of 10. So here difference is here with the int array is defined, but whereas here with the variable name array is defined. Both are correct. And again, float array. So define the data type, which is float, then give a name to the variable and define it as an array, is equal to new float of 5. So this means maximum of 5 elements can be stored into that float array, and even we can enter less than 5 or less than 10. What is the maximum size given? Less than that values we can enter. But you cannot exceed the limit, that is 5 elements or 10 elements cannot be exceeded. So again, same way, float with the along with the data type we can mention that it is an array. This is also correct. And next, char c array is equal to new char of 20. That means character array is created c with the variable c, and it can store maximum of 20 elements. And even you can mention like how we define for float or int with the data type. You can even write character or string, whatever array. It can be defined in two ways. Okay. And next is string array. So string st is equal to new string of 10. So in the string array we can mention maximum 10 words into that array. Array name is st. Now let us see how to accept values to an array. First method is by using assignment method, and example is int m array. This is an integer array named as m, and inside the curly braces we can define the elements with a comma in between. So there are the elements are 14 comma 16 comma 5 comma 78 comma 42 comma 15. So there are elements, the size of the elements will be the number of the elements we define with the assignment method. So the size of the array m is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 elements in this array. So the size of the m array is 6. Next is character array. So char c array is equal to computer. So these are the characters. Since these are characters, it must be enclosed in the single quotation marks, and it should be inside the curly braces, which is separated with the help of a comma in between. And next is string array. So string st is equal to, again inside the curly braces you can have words. So here computer comma applications comma world comma textbook. So there are 4 words in this, and each word you have to define with double quotation marks since it is a string. And an array with empty represents an unfixed number of cells in the memory. So here I haven't defined any sizes here. So that means it can have numerous elements into an array. So that means when you define m array, and if you want to still include more elements, the computer will extend the memory because we haven't fixed the number of cells in that memory. The second method of accepting values to an array is by using BlueJ method. In this method, the data values are to be entered at the time of execution of the program. So you know how to use BlueJ method for the normal program. We mention inside a public static void main any values like int a comma b comma c, and the BlueJ, while running, BlueJ will ask for you to enter the values. Then you will be entering the values there, and based on those values the program will run. Same way it works for the arrays too. Example is public static void main int array. This is an array of m, variable is m, and again public static void main character array c, etc. And note, at the time of execution the data values are to be given within the curly braces separated by commas. Since it is a array values, we have to mention inside the braces which is separated by commas. Like example is here, like while running the BlueJ will ask like this. So array dot main, it will ask for the values to be entered here, and you have to mention it inside the curly braces. The values has to be given with a comma in between. Another method of accepting values to an array can be using input stream reader or scanner method. You can use either of these methods. So in this method also, the data values are to be entered at the time of execution of the program, and this you know already. The syntax is int m array is equal to new int of 10. So I have defined here the size of the array is 10. Then you have to use a for loop so that you can receive the 10 elements. If it is only one element, no need of for loop. You can just call it without for loop, that you know already. Since it is an array, that is we are receiving 10 elements or 20 elements, more than one element we are receiving, so that we must use a for loop. And the for loop should always begin with 0. It should be always begin with 0, because of arrays indexes are starting with 0 always. So for I is equal to 0, I less than or equal to 9, because from 0 to 9 we can have 10 elements in an array. And then m of I is equal to sc dot next int of. So this is using scanner method, or if it is using input stream reader method, it is m of I is equal to integer dot parseInt of br dot readline function. So here when first element is received, it will be stored in m of 0, because first time I value is 0, so it will be stored in m of 0. Then when next time when it runs, then it will the second element will be stored in m of 1. Then third element will be stored in m of 2, etc., and the last element will be stored in m of 9. Now let us see a program which accepts data elements, 10 elements to an array, and prints in the reverse order. So here I am using scanner class. So java.util.star is used. Then I have defined the array. So that is integer array. Int n array is equal to new end of 10. So I have fixed the elements as 10 elements. And I am using I here. Then I'm asking the user to enter the 10 elements or numbers into the array. Since it is 10 elements, we must use a for loop. So for I is equal to 0, I less than 10. Either you can use I less than or equal to 9, or I less than 10. Both the way it is correct. From 0 to less than 10 is again 10 elements. And n of I is equal to sc dot next int of, and here I am receiving the elements to an array, n array, which is starting from index 0 till 9. The next is to print the elements in the reverse order. Again we should use the for loop, because we are not printing one element, we are printing the entire array, that is more number of elements. So again use the for loop for printing too. So for I is equal to 9, I am printing in the reverse order. So I should start its value from 9, from the last index. So I is equal to 9. I should be greater than or equal to 0, and I should print its element till 0th element, that is the first element. Then I minus minus, and inside that for loop system.out.println n of I. So first it will print n of I, that is n of 9, that is the last element. Then I minus minus, it will become n of 8, n of 7, until it will print n of 0, that is the first element. So we'll see the output. No syntax errors. So we'll run and check the program. Void main. Enter the 10 elements or numbers into the array. So I'm entering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I have entered 10 elements into the array. So we'll see what is the output. The elements in the reverse order is, so it has printed in the reverse order, that is 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this way the program works, and I hope now the array, how to define array, how to print elements array, how to accept the values to an array is clear for you. And in the next session we will see some more actions related with arrays. Thank you.